You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast, a proud member of the CLNS group of podcasts. As always, make sure you get on and download and subscribe to all those shows on the Patriots Press Pass channel, as well as all the shows on CLNS, especially with basketball season coming back. But tonight, it's your boys at Patriot Nation. It's Pat Lane here with my guy, Matt St. Jean. And Matt, the Cardinals are terrible.
They're so bad. I didn't. Marvin Harrison Jr. getting the yips like this is not something I had on my bingo card.
I mean, remember when there was serious discussion about whether the Patriots should take Marvin Harrison Jr. or Drake May? Like, insanity. And I said it at the time, like, you can't take a wide receiver if there's a legitimate quarterback on the board, especially if you don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
So thank God that, sanity prevailed there.
And there were points in that draft class where I was thinking about making Neighbors my wide receiver 1 over Marvin Harrison Jr., and I just didn't because I loved how explosive Neighbors was, but it was a shorter track record of production. I just thought the floor in Marvin Harrison Jr. was so high, but I think this is one of the things that makes the draft process so difficult. Sometimes the guy who's been the best receiver in college football for multiple seasons forgets how to catch a football. And there's no, what do you do about that?
Yeah. It's tough. It's not the pros. It's college. It's not the pros. It's a different scenario. It's a different animal. You also don't know what the OC situation is going to be. I think Kyler Murray has sucked. I think he sucked from the beginning.
He has. Well, there were moments where he's been good or at least been productive, but I just haven't seen any improvement since rookie year. And it's like, all right, well, in that time, every defense in the NFL has gotten to face you and learn what you do. So when you don't improve or add things to your arsenal and everyone else gets the book on you, this is what it looks like. Yeah.
It's wild that they took two quarterbacks back to back in the top 10. We saw Josh Rosen is terrible. They had that graphic up from 2018 where all those quarterbacks, even Sam Darnold, who was failed with the Jets, have had some real success, and Josh Rosen, of course, is terrible. And then the very next year you take Kyler Murray number 1, and it's like, Murray's fine, but he's certainly not the number 1 overall pick. Good, so.
Well, and I will say this: it's not Arizona made the right choice in moving on from Josh Rosen for Kyler Murray. They identified that one of these players was better than the other. I think the issue you run into there is just that Kyler Murray's not as good compared to other number 1 overall taken quarterbacks.
Right. Yeah.
I will say, you look back and it's like, I think it was 2016 or was it 2016 that Goff goes number 1 overall. That's aged very well. 2018, It's Baker. That's aged very well. Maybe Kyler eventually gets a redemption arc out of this.
It's possible. You know what? Number 6 in 2019.
Who went number 6 in 2019?
Statistically, the best quarterback in the NFL right now.
Oh, Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. Maybe he's getting his redemption arc right now.
Yeah, that would be. What the Colts have done is sensational.
It's wild.
Yeah. I will say, and it's even watching the Seattle offense. Sam Darnold looks good, and the offense looks creative. I do think that's, I'll transition this back to the Patriots here for a second. I think that's one of the most interesting things about just looking at the different ways offenses win in the NFL. Because you watch, I think Josh McDaniels has done a tremendous job so far this season with what they have and, given answers to the quarterback and everything. And then what he does looks so different from what they're doing in Indy or Seattle. And I think look at Indianapolis and Seattle, the way those offenses are designed, I think is intentionally, make things look very complex while making them actually very simple for the quarterback. And that's kind of the opposite of the Josh McDaniels approach. Josh McDaniels approach is oftentimes we're going to make a lot of these things look simple in a lot of ways, but we're making it complex for the quarterback because we're going to trust that our quarterback is going to be smarter than what they have on the other side. We're going to teach him how to read some of this stuff, and he's going to win with his mind. That was the great combination of McDaniels and Brady for so long, was the fact that Brady could take in so much information and analyze it so quickly meant that, okay, well, we can make it so that on every single play, if we want, you're going to have 5 receivers running routes that are going to stress a defense, and the quarterback can go to any, he can, in a second and a half, decide which one of those 5 receivers he wants to throw to and get the ball there accurately.
Right, make the right decision almost all the time, right? And it's just, it's not necessarily like that in the NFL anymore, right?
Well, it takes special talent, I think, mentally to do that.
Well, and Brady's talked about that, about how, the processing in the NFL is not the way it used to be, right? Is not what it used to be. And, that's a big part of the game back then. And now it's a little bit more, processing still there, but it's a little bit more focused on the athletic side of it, right? I'm going to make plays not just with my mind, but I'm going to stress the defense more with the fact that I can also run the ball at any time as well. And that's, that's kind of how they're pushing the envelope there, I think.
When I remember reading an analysis of Lamar Jackson in that Ravens offense, I don't remember if it was from the 2019 MVP era or from a little bit later on, but they talked about how, in most offenses, the 4th or the 5th receiver out is going to be some kind of a check down for the quarterback. So that's if there's a blitz or if everyone else is covered, you can throw it to the running back or the tight end or the receiver in the flat. And he'll try to pick up a couple yards and you get something out of it. And how that Ravens offense didn't have that at all. They just kind of erased a lot of those concepts because that option was Lamar running.
Yeah.
So they didn't need that. So that it allowed you to do a lot more things. But yeah, I think it's funny. People say that quarterback play in the NFL isn't very good right now. And I think I disagree with that. I think quarterback, the median level of quarterback play might be better than it's ever been before. It's just that I think it's because offensive coordinators have gotten very good at being okay, if we have a guy who's a little bit athletic and can throw the ball where I tell him to throw the ball, we can scheme something up. The problem is that I feel like that level in the NFL 20 years ago were all these veterans who weren't very good, but were, because they'd been in the league so long, they could read out defenses and do all this stuff, so that they fared better in the playoffs. And I look at that Colts offense, or the Seahawks offense, or the Vikings offense, the 49ers offense, and I feel like their big flaw is that when you get into big playoff games where the other team can really study you and figure out how your offense works, if they can get the answers to the test on it, there aren't really adjustments built in. This was one of the big things for the 49ers in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, was the quarterback doesn't have a lot of power at the line to change things. And if the defense knows what you're doing and the quarterback can't change things, you're screwed before you even snap the ball.
Yeah.
And I think more offenses have that kind of trap door on them right now in a way that maybe you didn't have 20 years ago. But I also think 20 years ago, you had a lot of guys who would just stand in the pocket for 5 seconds and take a sack. So
yeah, and listen, I just think I think the cerebralness of the position isn't what it used to be, right? Even at the top level of players, I think that the thinking man's NFL, so to speak, from the quarterback position is not the way it used to be, and I think that it's just a different iteration. It doesn't necessarily mean it's worse or better. It's just a different iteration of football because
different things.
I'm bringing, exactly. I'm valuing a different thing, and I value the fact that you can bring me that running ability as opposed to being able to go to the line and check 14 times and run a different play and, be Peyton Manning at the line and, sit there and call, 6 different plays and 6 different protections. I'm sorry. And then the defense shifts and you call something else, and it's a game of chess back and forth about who's going to blink first. And then, usually you're right as the quarterback. So, but again, that doesn't mean it's better or worse. It's just a different kind of, you're attacking the defense and stressing the defense in a different way. And so it's not necessarily worse, just different. So,
and I also think in that time period too, we've seen defenses get a lot more complex. Like defenses, like the median defense in the NFL today, I think is significantly better than 20 years ago. In terms of like, I don't know, I think you look back to the Brady era Patriots in like 07 and the way they pushed the envelope with stuff. And then like the Drew Brees offenses down in New Orleans. And I think for a while their offenses were very much ahead of defenses. And it was defenses being like, all right, well, if we play zone, these quarterbacks are dicing us up. But if we play man, we can't cover them. So what do we do?
right.
And they finally, in the last 5 years, probably, I'd say 5 to 8 years, have figured out some of the answers there, and you get like these designer match zone coverages and a lot of the split field stuff where it's cover 2 on one side and cover 3 on one side of the field to confuse quarterbacks, where they're very good at executing it, which then comes back to that's how you get these designer offenses saying, okay, we're just going to skip past the part where we're asking our quarterback to figure out what's going on here and make it a lot simpler for him, because this is really hard to figure out.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see. All right. Getting into the Patriots here. I think that this is a matchup for them that they should win. I don't know if Tedero or McMillan played today. I had parent-teacher conferences, so I was at work until 8 o'clock. But
T-Mac did not participate in practice.
So you're talking about 2 missed practices this week. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to play. He might still play, but he didn't practice Wednesday or Thursday. He might practice Friday, but even if he practices Friday, that's a walkthrough anyways. So you're talking about he basically didn't practice all week, and he's going to go up against probably what it looks like at least is going to be Christian Gonzalez. And if that's the case, I feel good about the Patriots. Now listen, Tedero McMillan is a good player, and he's made some sensational catches. He catches like 2 or 3 balls a game. It's not like he's there, he's been killing them with volume, but he's made some really nice catches. I would, if I was a Panthers fan, I'd be worried about his lack of preparation all week, especially going into a matchup where he could be against Gonzo.
When I think we look at this Carolina team, receivers at position, they've used their last 2 first-round picks at wide receiver. They took T-Mac here in the first past draft. It took Xavier Leggett last year. Leggett also didn't practice. He has not been very good either. So
he didn't play last week.
And that's supposed to be your wide receiver 1 and 2 right there. So we'll see. I don't think Leggett's going to play. We'll see about McMillan. Their next guy up is Hunter Renfrow, who just kind of bounced around and ended up in Carolina now. He has had I was watching the Atlanta game. He's had some okay moments.
Yeah.
He's not a bad player out there. He can separate, but like if he has to be their wide receiver 1 in this game, like he is a borderline wide receiver 3 right now. If you're asking him to be your primary guy, that's not good. Outside of that, we've got David Moore, who's been in the league for a bit. It was Chris Moore, I think, who had that crazy game against New England in 2021.
In 2014. Yeah, it was.
No.
The Super Bowl?
No. I'm talking about the game in Houston in like 2021, or it might have been 2020. That random UDFA he went off.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, now I know what you're talking about. I don't think that was David Moore either.
No, I think it was Chris Moore, a different Moore. David Moore's been in the league. He's actually been in the league since 2017. I didn't realize that. He's been all over the place. Yeah. Bryson Tremaine was getting playing time for them last week. If you haven't heard of him, I had not heard of him until this week.
Never heard the name.
Jimmy Horn Jr. I know Jimmy Horn. I don't know if Jimmy Horn Jr. has really even played for Carolina yet this year. So like that's
Colorado Buffalo, of course.
Yes.
As you know, I'm sure.
One of Deion's boys out there. Yeah. So this depth chart is not good. And like McMillan he's decent. He belongs on the field. Outside of him, like this group is not good. So I think when we start on Carolina has the ball, if you're New England, I think you're playing a lot, especially if Christian Gonzalez is back. I'm just playing a ton of man coverage, and I think you want to spy on the quarterback because Bryce Young has made some plays with his legs. He's nimble. He made some plays last week.
I agree.
But like, I'm not worried. It's Chuba Hubbard is probably their biggest weapon. Then.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, Chuba. I just don't like. He apparently keeps getting carries in the NFL, but like I don't see it with him.
Yeah, he had some good plays.
He's fine, but he's just not. I don't know.
He's fine. Yeah, I think he's like an average running back one. Rico Dowdle is their backup. He's had some plays too. This Carolina offensive line spent a lot of money on their guards too. They got Damian Lewis at left guard. Got Ike Kwanu at tackle. Like their offensive line's all right. Probably a middle of the pack unit, if I had to guess. They'll try to run it up the middle. Especially if they're not going to have T-Mac. There's nothing about this offense that scares me.
Yeah. Well, that's really what it comes down to is that you have to be able to shut this offense down. They're not that good. Patriots defense hasn't been great, but like you need to be able to shut this offense down. Like this is a game that the Patriots should win. And I realize that they just went. I think they were they home against Atlanta or were they in Atlanta? I think they were home, right? Yeah. So they just beat Atlanta 30-0, right? Which on any given Sunday you can win a game. I think a lot of that was how poorly Atlanta played. And so then you look at it and say, okay, well, the Patriots just can't play as poorly as they did last week. They can't play as poorly as Atlanta did last week. Now, which team played worse? I think that's an argument that you can, I don't know. Did Atlanta have 2 turnovers inside the 5-yard line? No, but they had a lot of turnovers and gave a lot of, open fields to, short fields, to Carolina. Did Carolina have a defensive touchdown as well? I know Penix threw a few picks. I don't know if he threw a pick 6 or not. I think he did. He threw like an awful pick 6 from his like own 10-yard line or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Chad Smith-Wade, pick 6 early.
Yeah.
Tyrone McMillan did practice that. According to the Patriots website, he did not practice. But then I checked Carolina's website and he did. So McMillan limited.
Yeah, but even a limited practice, if he can get out there a little bit, could mean that he's playing.
Yeah, I like this for me was a win when they announced the schedule.
Yep.
Because I liked the Christian Gonzalez matchup here against T-Mac.
I agree.
And especially if he's banged up, I think you can play man coverage and play sides if you want, because as long as it's one of Christian Gonzalez or Carlton Davis on him, I'm good. Hunter Renfrow, I think you're looking for Marcus Jones there. That's going to be his assignment.
Mm-hmm.
And whoever the other outside receiver is draws the other corner.
Carlton Davis, right?
Yeah. Jatavian Sanders is also their tight end, and he's not a practice. So I don't think we're going to see him. They're missing a lot of guys. So it's Tommy Tremble, next man up at tight end, who's fine, but that's a replacement level player. You should be able to handle that.
Well, and that's the real thing is that you look at it and say, if you can't stop these guys, they may not be able to do much other than, run the ball, and maybe they can run the ball a little bit, but you should be able to shut this team down. And if you can't shut this team down, that's when I start to get concerned about, okay, yeah, there are things that, there are excuses that we can make and there are things, but at a certain point, you just gotta be able to play defense, and I thought Robert Spillane was significantly better, last week. He's got to do that again this week. And so, and then you're talking about now, all right, Tommy Tremble comes in. Yep. Not the best, but you still got to be able to stop the guy, so we'll see.
Yeah. And I think, this is a Carolina offense that has not been anything special this year. They have been fine. They're statistically better than what Pittsburgh was last week in terms of just picking up yards on every drive. I think Bryce Young right now is probably better than Aaron Rodgers. If I had to guess, I don't feel super confident saying that in either direction.
Yeah.
They're in the same tier.
Right.
But, I think Bryce Young's had his moments. So, I think a big thing of this game is going to be just don't be Bryce Young's breakout or get right game or however you want to say it. He's been good. He's been nimble with his feet. He had one throw last week that surprised me where he was like rolling out to his left and he gets hammered as he throws the ball. Still delivers like an accurate ball down the field. So, he's small, but like he'll make some plays. So you got to respect that.
Right. Yeah, it's true. And I think last year is when he really started making a leap. Everyone kind of wrote him off after his rookie year. And he really played poorly at the beginning of last year. And then towards the end of last year, really played well. And so we'll see. We'll see what happens with him. I still have hope that Bryce Young is a decent quarterback. I think the pieces in Carolina aren't great. The offensive line is fine, but not great. And so can you continue to build and put pieces around him? If T-Mac if T-Mac can continue doing what he's been doing, he's a solid receiver for you. And Jatavian Sanders is a good receiving tight end for you. You got to give him more than that, though. It seems like they whiffed on the Leggett pick or Leggett pick, if that's how you pronounce it. But
I think it's Leggett, actually.
Okay, so Leggett. So either way, they seems like they whiffed on that pick. And so, can they find another guy if they in fact did? So it's those types of things I look at and say, like, all right, can we put some more pieces around Bryce Young to help him in that? He's in his third year right now. You feel like this is the year that he should be making that leap, and it's just not happening because he doesn't have the guys really. But
yeah.
He also has to play better too. I mean, there's no excuse. Like he's also got to play better, and he hasn't. So, I'm not scared of this Carolina offense, and I don't think anyone should be.
No, they've also turned the ball over 6 times this year. I think that's the same number of times New England has, if I remember off the top of my head correctly there. So,
do the Patriots have no turnovers against? Do they have no turnovers against Miami? Blues had 5 turnovers last week, so
they threw six turnovers. Yeah, nothing. 1 against Las Vegas, none against Miami. 5.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, Carolina's turned it over at least once in every game so far. 6 turnovers on the season. Gotta think you can take advantage of that this week.
You would hope.
No, their scoring totals, by the way, they scored 10 points against Jacksonville, 22 at Arizona. A lot of that was in a big comeback bid, though. That game was 27-3 late in the third quarter.
Well, when we see this Arizona team, looks like absolute trash tonight. Now, that doesn't mean they're trash all the time, but they're not very good.
Yeah. And they won 30-0 against Atlanta last week, but like they got outgained by over 100 yards in that one. 7 of those points came off a turnover.
Mm-hmm.
So, there was a 57-yard field goal in there as well. Long range.
Yep.
So,
speaking of that, our guy Chad Ryland just hit a 57-yard field goal.
Hey, check out Chad over there. So, yeah, I think you look at when Carolina's on the field, you expect to win that. I think you'd like to hold them to less than 14 points. Is that too crazy?
I don't think so. I don't think so. Certainly less than 20. Yeah. Certainly less than 20 points. I think if it's 14 or 16, you can live with that. But you certainly can't be giving up over 20 points. That would be, that just can't happen. And what you hope is that it's not it's not a turnover that turns into points, right? For Carolina. And so, but we'll see. So, all right, you want to take a break and then we can talk about the Patriots offense against Carolina's defense?
Let's do it.
All right. This break, of course, is for Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. It's the best place to play daily fantasy sports. All you need to do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players for a chance to win. Now, again, your lineup, and my favorite part about Prize Picks is that your lineup can be filled with different sports. So you can put in football guys, you can put in women's basketball, you can put in baseball, you can put in basketball's coming back and hockey's coming back. You can put all that stuff in together. This week, this week. And one of the things I love about what they do here is that they can get a free square. They got a free square again this week. Jalen Hurts is the free square. More than 0.5 passing yards. Pretty sure that one's going to hit. Jalen Hurts, free square. For me personally, I'm going Jalen Warren for more than 86.5 rushing plus receiving yards. Pittsburgh against Minnesota. And I'm going Alec Almainer for more than 2.5 receptions for the Tennessee Titans against Houston. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to download the app Prize Picks. You're going to put in the promo code CLNS. When you do that and you play your first $5 lineup, you'll get $50 in lineups. Once again, download the app Prize Picks. Put in the promo code CLNS. And when you play your first $5 lineup, you get $50 in lineups. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
But before we get into this,
Yes.
I just saw Robert Mays tweet this. I want your opinion on it because we just mentioned that Shatter Island 57-yard field goal or whatever it was. Says kicking. Well, he tags Sam Schwartzstein in this because he's the guy behind the new kickoff rules. Tags him. Kicking field goals is too easy now. We need a solution, and you're the man for the job. Should we change field goals?
No. Kickers suck. Stop it.
I could be down. I think I'm going to be honest. I don't like that 50-yard, 55-yard field goals are like easy now. Like what if we just raise the crossbar a little bit?
Stop it. No, stop. Listen, kickers stink and they're dumb and they're stupid and like just stop it. No, kickers, no. Kickers, I feel like I'm talking to my dog. Kickers, no. You have enough problem with kickers anyways. The kickers can't even kick. And you have guys that like they don't stick in the same spot. We've talked about the fact that if you draft a kicker, he almost always sucks. Like, why do you think that is? It's all mental. The whole thing is mental. And yeah, of course, they can kick further than they used to be able to. Fine, but like, I don't know. I just think trying to make them more difficult is silly.
I could be interested in that because I kind of feel like 50 yards should be the bar where like, okay, anything over 50 is like legitimately challenging. I just don't feel like that's hard for kickers anymore. It's hard for some kickers.
I don't know. Look around the league. Look around. I'm curious to see what the numbers are around the league 50 plus. Because I think it's probably like higher than it has been, but I doubt it's higher than 65%. At 50 plus, and again, I don't know how you would tell that, but I suppose you could look it up. I don't know.
On kicks of 50 plus yards this season, kickers are 43 of 57.
So
that's got to be like
80%.
75%.
Yeah. Okay.
I could be persuaded into something that would bring that number down to like 60%.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
All right, we go back to this week.
Dude, JSN just hot mic. Woo! He just held Charbonnet. He held like I don't know. He held a guy at the goal line, and there was a guy. The ref is going holding number 11, and because I have my thing on mute. But he's like holding number 11 on the offense, and he walks by. He's like, "Mother!" And the dude's on the microphone, and you just see the ref like look at him like, "Boy, what are you doing?" Like, it was great. So
I love that.
Anyways, that's pretty good. So
Patriots offense.
Yes, Patriots offense. By the way, Connor Wiley over here says that Patriots get at least 6 sacks on Sunday. I like that. He's got the Patriots winning 28-14. Listen, we've had a lot of success with
Bryce Young's only been sacked 5 times this year.
That would be impressive. The Patriots got 6. That'd be pretty impressive.
I will say, after seeing the way that the Vegas's line, Miami's line have played in all their other games, I don't feel quite as good about how our defensive line played in those games anymore.
I would agree with you. I'd agree with you on that. I do think the Patriots defensive line still played pretty well last week.
Agreed.
So I think the Patriots have a good offensive line. I just don't think they have like the best offensive line in the league. I think that they can grow into it. I do like the fact that, Tonga has been kind of mixing it up with the other guys as well in there, obviously Barmore and Milton Williams. But, I think if you're talking about the best defensive line in the league, maybe not, but we'll see.
I think they're good. I mean, they're much better than what they were last year. Last year they were awful. Tonga has been good. Joshua Farmer is a guy I want to see more involved.
He played well on Sunday, I thought.
He's made some plays in there. I mean, he had a run stop last week, and in some of the games, even where he hasn't gotten I don't think it's a sack yet, but he's gotten pressures and he's had some nice pass rush wins. So feel good about him. I will say, before we move on to the offense, Caleb on Chasen, I may have been too harsh on him for the penalties on the post-game show, because after reviewing the tape, there was he single-handedly forced the Steelers 3 and out at one point in the second half. I think he had a run stuff on first down and a pressure on second down that forced a throwaway or something, and it was like, all right, so that's a nice series for you, Jason. So yeah, I'll back off. Oh, he might not even play this week. He's limited.
Yeah, he'll probably play though, I would think. I don't know.
I think he was out Wednesday, limited today. That's trending towards playing, but we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Patriots offense. Look, Drake May. I mean, I feel like we've seen the maturation process from Drake May. I feel like we've gotten a lot from him. I think we've seen a lot of growth. I think there's still a lot of growth to be had. The interception in the end zone, was his head spinning a little bit after he got dunked, smashed against the turf on first down, or second down, I guess that was.
First and second he got hit.
Yes, but second down is when he really hit the back of his head hard against the turf. Yeah. Is he still seeing stars a little bit there? He doesn't make quite the right throw there. You'd love to see him just take the sack on that fumble. It's unnecessary. To do extra there to try to, get some yardage, and he's trying to flip the ball forward. It's just take the sack, just live to fight another day. And I think that those are things that hopefully he'll learn over time. But we'll see what happens. Hey, cut it out over there, you. But anyways, I think I've liked what I've seen from him a lot. I think he's trending in the right direction. But again, he's got a lot of growth left to do. And I think if he continues to grow this year, by the end of this year, we're talking about a guy that's, maybe a top 10 quarterback in the NFL, and that's exciting.
Yeah. Well, and I think we have to be balanced when we talk about Drake May, because on one hand, bad throws, coughing the ball up, turnovers, don't love it. Some of the errant throws, you got to be better, missing reads, things like that. Flip side of things is that when you value all of this stuff out, like you look at EPA, which is supposed to basically value, all right, how damaging are the turnovers and how positive are the good plays you make. I think he's like the 8th best quarterback right now in the league on EPA per play. So even with the turnovers, it's still valuing out for him being a very good quarterback, which, I go look at, this is a very different style of quarterback play for us in New England. Because you look at Tom Brady, it's the guy who doesn't turn the ball over that much. He just keeps the ball ridiculously clean and is super efficient with it. But, the comparison for Drake May is like Josh Allen. Josh Allen's the guy who does turn the ball over. He does play a little bit recklessly. It's just the trade-off for that is, he might throw an extra pick every other game compared to some other quarterbacks, but he's balancing that out by picking up, 3 first down wins with his legs and, a couple big plays down the field. And when you net it all out, it's a gain for you. That's, I think, what it's going to look like for May. I want to see him be a little bit more aggressive. I think he left some deep shots on the field when I went back and watched the tape that I didn't expect. Like Mac Hollins, I think, was open a couple times down the field. They actually, so I don't know if you saw this last week, but someone put out a breakdown that in the first 2 weeks, teams had run the exact same deep shot against Pittsburgh, and they messed up the coverage both times and got touchdowns both times. It basically involved play action, receiver on each side of the field, and they're just going to run like this. And Pittsburgh would have a safety in the middle of the field, and he would take one of the receivers who was crossing, and the other one would end up in like single coverage with an advantage and would end up catching it. And the Patriots ran something off of that. They ran a play that started as both receivers doing this, and the receiver over here comes back to this side, which was Mac Hollins. And Pittsburgh they screwed up the coverage on it, and Mac Hollins was open. I think that ended up being the check down to Hunter Henry that went for like 15 yards. So it's still a positive play. It's still a good play. I would just want Drake to look down the field on that. I think I was also a little bit. The Pop Douglas stuff is also still weird for me right now because I go back to the tape and he had a big play on a play action shot over the middle, called back because Michael Wendy went 5 yards down the field for reasons that I don't understand. And they had a screen pass to him that Drake made dirty. And like we kind of talked about this, but
that would have been a huge game.
Oh, he could have had 30, 40 yards on that one. And like, all right, well, if those two plays are on the stat sheet, are we talking about this differently? Are we being more forgiving for Pop Douglas at the end of the game? Are we even talking about end of game scenario because the team has scored more? Like, I don't know how that changes the way we look at this. So I'm not married to Pop. I think Kyle Williams can run that. I think Efton Chisholm can run that. I think Kayshon Boutte can run that. I think Stephon Diggs can run that. Like you could put any of these guys in that position on the field, and I think you could have gotten success. But maybe you don't bench Pop yet. I'm not sure.
Well, my big thing with Pop is that I just don't. What I'm trying to figure out is he worth leaving? Like, is he one of their best? And right now he's getting the fourth most reps. And I would like to see Kyle Williams get more reps than him. So like for me, it's not necessarily that I want to bench Pop because I don't think Efton Chisholm is the answer. I just don't. I'm sorry to the Patriots fans out there. I don't believe that Efton Chisholm is the answer. And so it's not necessarily that I want to bench Pop Douglas for Efton Chisholm. It's that I think if you put Stephon Diggs in the slot and you split time on the outside with Kayshon Boutte, Mac Hollins, and Kyle Williams, I feel like those are your best four receivers right now. And then if you want to play, again, Kyle Williams is playing 6 or 7 snaps a game. Like that's what the numbers are bearing out, right? If you want to give those two guys, whichever guy, right? If the coaching staff likes Efton Chisholm better, fine. I think it's still probably Pop Douglas, but whatever. Whether you give Chisholm or Douglas the 7 snaps a game, that doesn't matter to me. That's irrelevant to me. You want to give it to Pop Douglas, fine, give it to Pop Douglas. But to me, he should be the wide receiver 5. And, and I want Kyle Williams getting the, 25, 27 snaps a game. And that's what I'm looking for more so than bench Pop Douglas for Efton Chisholm. I just feel like what are we doing here?
Yeah, no, I agree there. And I would, those 2 missed big plays to Pop Douglas I talked about. Kyle Williams should, in theory here, we haven't seen him do much yet, but the Kyle Williams play I scouted in the offseason should also be able to make those same plays.
Right.
So, I don't think that's a Pop specific thing. We'll see how they use him. I mean, I do think I haven't been able to evaluate Kyle Williams that much on tape. I want to see them use him more so we can start to figure out what he is. But
I agree.
And I'm not going to give up on Pop Douglas just yet, just because I feel like he's been a good player for you before. Like supposedly he was good all training camp. I believe that guy's got to be in there somewhere.
I think
but
so
I
too.
definitely agree. Like I would just try Kyle Williams with some of this Pop Douglas stuff probably too. Give him some of these plays, see what happens, see how it goes. Probably keep the same receivers active, but just switch the usage for Pop and Kyle Williams.
Right. That's and I kind of feel that's kind of how I feel as well. So and just move Pop into the slot or move Kyle Williams in the slot for that matter if that's what you want to do. I mean, I just like it's really not that big of a deal. But again, if you make him your wide receiver 5, you don't hate it. I mean, again, the hard thing for me is it's the spatial awareness that Pop is so bad at. He has a hard time sitting down in zones. The crossing route that May threw behind him, I have to imagine, and you talked about it, like it's hard to give Pop the benefit of the doubt on that play when he's made that mistake so many times. You just feel like you should know, sit in that zone, catch the ball, and go upfield, because you can see the safety come late. Now, I don't know, I'm not looking at it from the all 22, but just from what I saw, and I guess I saw behind it, but not zoomed out. You see the safety come over. So if he hits him on the run, is he leading him into that safety hit? It's not necessarily a hospital ball, but is he leading him into that safety hit?
I think that Pop actually was right on that one. I blamed him for that in the post game. Went back and watched it. I think May was kind of throwing. I don't think he had a base on that one. I think someone was at his feet and he was like in the air getting rid of the ball, and I think he just tried to place it and was a little bit behind him. Granted, this is one of the issues with Pop. He doesn't have a big catch radius. So if the throw is a little bit off, he's not going to make the play. It's like it's one of those things where it's not necessarily Pop's fault. It's not necessarily a negative that you can't catch a ball like that. But the flip side of this is this is the NFL. And just because it's not a negative doesn't mean there's not someone else out there that can make it a positive for you.
That's
all right, if you think Kyle Williams is a bigger guy, if you think you can make that catch and correct a mistake that May makes, then we should see him out there.
I agree.
Same with Mac Hollins is a bigger guy. Also, Keyshawn Boutte just needs to get the ball more. But
one target a game is not cutting it. That's not cutting it for him.
Yeah. Can I talk about this Carolina defense for a second?
Yeah. By the way, did you see Marvin Harrison just sick catch for a touchdown? Really nice catch right on Witherspoon's head.
Oh yeah, that's nice. Love that. There we go. Break out of this lump. All right, so I didn't get a chance to watch Carolina's defense against Jacksonville or Arizona, where I know they played much worse. Against Atlanta, I thought Carolina's defense looked very good. Well, they're not. The stats aren't great. I don't think they're the best tackling defense. I will say a lot. So their defensive coordinator is Ejiro Evero, who has been liked by a lot of people for a while. And I think you watch them play and you see why. They play a lot of different coverages, and they will confuse the hell out of you. They're going to disguise like crazy. They're going to blitz. They're going to play man. They're going to play zone. They're going to play everything. They're going to play it out a lot of different looks. It's not to the Brian Flores level of things, but they're going to bring a lot of confusing things at you. They're going to play split field stuff where, I saw plays where it's man on one side of the field and zone on the other side. I think that is my biggest thing this week. May has been so good early in the season because he's been able to check it down consistently, and he has been much better, especially weeks 2 and 3, at just making the correct reads repeatedly in the short game, which has been a great area of growth for him.
That's a good point.
That's one thing when you're doing that against Pittsburgh, Miami's defenses. Carolina's secondary played very well last week. They have some real talent there, like J.C. Horn, is a very good player on the back end. Chow Smith-Wade, who plays in the slot for them, he had a pick 6. They got Trevon Merrick on the back end at safety, who flies around. He is fast.
Yeah,
he's just so quick that he works well as a blitzer. They actually have Mike Jackson, if you remember him being in New England, in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, starting fights in training camp, I believe. He plays for that. He starts for them. He's not as good as the other guys in that secondary, but he's fine. So they could do some stuff on the back end. How does May respond? This is going to be much more complex than the last 2 weeks. Is he able to rise to the challenge mentally? Because for me, I think if you lose this game, it's going to be because you're turning the ball over on offense, or you're just going to stall a lot, and May is going to get sacked a lot because he can't read the defense. And this is going to be the first defense like this I think he's going to play in his career. I don't remember him playing one quite like this.
No, I don't think so either.
With the designer coverages and stuff. Yeah, no, I don't think, maybe Arizona to a degree, Well, and probably the Chargers with Mike Minter there, or Justin Minter there. But like, so this will be a test for him mentally.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a good thing. That's what I want him exposed to. Like, let's see these challenging looks and these challenging defenses and make him not just win with his athleticism, but also win with his mind. And I think that's an important thing to see. So, we'll see how it goes. But I am cautiously optimistic, and I'm excited about the opportunity, honestly, for him to get something like that.
There's also a possibility that Carolina playing as well as they did last week is a Michael Penix thing and not a Carolina defense thing.
That's certainly true. That is also certainly possible.
So Penix struggled to throw the ball over the middle of the field. He always has. That was the biggest weakness, one of his biggest weaknesses in his profile coming out. May's not quite like that. I don't think he shares that same weakness. He's also a better runner.
Right.
Yeah. Now I also mentioned the disguising. So Carolina doesn't have a great pass rush overall. Like the overall numbers are not anything special. But at defensive tackle, they've got a really good combo. Derek Brown, been in the league for a while, still a very, very good player. And A'Shaun Robinson has been a very good pass rusher for them on the inside. That 1-2 punch allows them to do a lot, and they're going to bring blitzes behind it. So like Nick Scorton, who anyone who's been listening to this is in that garage.
We all know you love him.
Yeah, he doesn't have a sack yet. He's been a little up and down, but like he's had some moments. I still don't remember how to pronounce his name. Princely.
Oh yeah, just say Princely. It's fine. Just say Princely. We get it. We know who it is.
Yeah, he's quick. They bring him on those blitzes, and like their linebackers are not good, but they can blitz. they're not even great at blitzing, but if they're quick enough that if you get fooled, they're going to get you. So all of that with like the disguises and stuff, and the fact that we might not have Jared Wilson, it might be backup Ben Brown at left guard.
Not ideal.
I'm worried about free rushers.
Yeah, well, and Ben Brown hasn't been great. I mean, I'm sorry, Jiminy Christmas. Jared Wilson hasn't been great, but there's a reason Jared Wilson's playing and not Ben Brown. So like, that's not ideal.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. I will say the flip side of things, Princely not a good run defender. He's small and you can run right at him and win.
So I think that this is the week. If you're the Patriots, this is the week that you have to sit down and say, we are going to run the football. We're going to run the football better than we have. We're going to maybe not necessarily pound it down their throat, but we're going to run the football successfully this week. We really haven't done that yet. We did a little bit in Miami, right? But it's not like they ran for 150 yards or anything like that. Like, this to me should be the week where you sit there and say, we are running like crazy on this team. And hopefully that remains the case. We'll see, but hopefully that's the case.
Well, Carolina is the defense, I believe, is 30th they're 30th in yards per attempt allowed. 5.4 yards per carry is what they're giving up on the ground. And if you'd like to keep the defense out of all of those specialty zones, keep a team out of their aggressive blitzes, run the ball. I think to the outside, like I just don't want to deal with those defensive tackles up the middle. No. But if you can make their linebackers have to run and pursue, and if you can make their edge defenders have to actually play the run, I think you're going to be in a much better position overall. You just have to be able to do it. So
yeah.
I think that means I think when you combine the blitzes that they're going to throw at you with the fact that you're going to have to run, I think this is a big Trevion Henderson game. Assuming that we're not, assuming he's going to be the starting back this week, which it sounds like he might be. But like
you have to assume he's going to be.
You have to be able to run. You have to be able to have your backs pick things up in pass pro. Like you need someone who's going to step up and do both. So I don't really care which of the three guys it is, but whoever you have back there, you got to have both of those things handled.
Right. I agree. So I think Henderson probably most likely is going to be the guy. Look, he can do all of the things, right? He is a good pass protector.
He was.
I don't know what happened in Miami that, he just couldn't do it anymore. But like he is a good pass protector, And so I do think that it's there. He's just not. He just, for whatever reason, hasn't done it. Maybe he's thinking too much. Maybe I'm not sure what it is. But, either way, I just think that, this is the game. Look, Ramondre, I just don't know how you can put Ramondre out there consistently anymore. I don't know how you can do it. I know Mike Vrabel says you need him. I just don't know how you can do it. And then it's in his head. Then it's like, then he's thinking about it. And the last thing you want is him thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, I think it's tough because I think Ramondre has been, not only clearly their best all-around back, but one of their best offensive players that so far this season when he isn't putting the ball on the ground.
Right.
But that's the biggest if in the world.
Correct.
That's you can't excuse that.
That is correct.
I don't envy Mike Vrabel right now and what he has. Oh, of course, after I talked about how easy 50-yarders are, they missed one.
Yep. Seattle. To me, that Seattle got what they deserved to.
It was fourth and what?
Oh, it was 4th and 8, but they got into that outside edge of field goal range, up 7, and they ran the ball straight into the line 3 straight times. It's just like you're not even trying. They completed like a 36-yard pass to JSN, and you run it into the line 3 times, assuming you're getting a kick a long field goal. And it's just like, no, it's what are you doing that for? Like, I just don't. I didn't like it. I didn't like the play calling, and you settle for it, and then this is where you end up. Brutal.
Where were we?
Anyways, you were talking about I think we're talking about the Patriots offense. I think
we are. I mean, the last thing I remember was talking about running the ball out.
It was the running backs. The running backs.
Yeah. I don't envy the position that Mike Vrabel is in right now because you don't want to have to bench Ramondre.
Right.
But here we are. I will say I was shout out to Dave Archibald, who we love on the pod. He and I were going back and forth recently, doing a deep dive into Ramondre's fumbling issues. And going back, one of the things, the pattern we picked up on is that they all seem to happen in bunches. So, I think he fumbled his first career carry. He fumbled in his first game, and he'd fumbled a couple times in the preseason.
Yep.
We did that. And then in last season when he was fumbling, it wasn't like he was fumbling all season. He fumbled in each of the first 4 games and then was clean for a while and then fumbled 3 times in 5 games near the end of the season. So, it just seems to happen in these groups. And there was another section where it was just, all bunched together for him when he has fumbled. So, I don't know exactly how you apply that. And I can't sit here and tell you, okay, you have to teach Ramondre a lesson by benching him for a game. And are we teaching him a lesson? I would assume he knows not to fumble the ball. I don't think this is an issue with him knowing that he shouldn't do it.
When they talked about that with Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's fumbled in all 3 games this year, and 2 of them in the fourth quarter, right? And they were able to hold on. No, didn't they lose? Didn't they lose last? Yeah. They lost in part because of his fumble, right? For the second time this year. So you have to look at that and again think, you can do bench Derrick Henry. You can't bench Derrick Henry. He's their best player. But at the same time, you look at it and say, all right, fine, but we have to maybe just don't bring it up or something. But it's, something has to give. And I think Ramondre Stevenson isn't even close to the back that Derrick Henry is. But at the same time, you don't want to draw attention to the fact that he's fumbling the ball. You don't want it to be like, hey, you got to do better. Well, no kidding, I got to do better. You know what I mean? I thought what they said was perfect, where Vrabel said, we need him, he's got to figure it out. And then Ramondre said, if I'm going to keep putting the ball on the ground, they don't need me. That, to me, that showed me a lot.
I think it's clear everyone involved understands the complexity and gravity of the situation. It's just a matter of actually executing it. So I wonder if you go in with Henderson as your running back 1, but Ramondre still as your running back 2, and you're not going to evenly split carries, but you let Ramondre get involved and see if we can rebuild some confidence and let him touch the ball without fumbling and go from there. I don't know. I do think you're going to want to run it a lot on Sunday. It's funny when you talk about the receivers and I think your offensive line, specifically your guards and your center position against their defensive tackles, and Your running backs are probably going to be what wins you this game. Also, this might be a big Will Campbell game. If you're running to the outside a lot, he and Morgan Moses, running behind those guys, I think all 5 on the line are going to have to be good. Don't get your runs blown up on the inside, and then have your guys take over and win on the outside will be the key.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. That's really kind of, to me at least, that's why he's here. Like, that's one of the reasons you draft him at number 4 overall, because he's such a good run blocker. Get him out on the edge and let him kind of take care of some people like he did in the preseason, and I think that's what I'm hoping to see from him. He hasn't really done much of it. He didn't do a great job of it in the Miami game. He had that play. It was a Miami game, right? No, it was last week when Travion took that pitch out wide and just kind of ran into his guy as he was trying to block him. But you'd love to see Campbell kind of get there and put that guy in the dirt early.
Yeah.
And then, give Henderson a bunch of time. So,
yeah. By the way, for specific plays that might work, there was a play Atlanta ran last week where they call it 4 strong. So you have 4 eligible receivers on the same side of the formation. So in this case, it's 3 receivers on that side, and then the running back is also on that side of the quarterback. And they brought the receiver in. So it was 2 receivers on each side. They bring 1 receiver over in motion, and then they use the fact that he's in motion to use him as a blocker on a screen. But it's kind of set up so it looks like one of the receivers is going to be getting the screen, but it's not. It's actually a little swing screen to the running back. And then because of that, the defense backs off a little bit because they're a little confused about what they're seeing. And you get a numbers advantage. Guys can get down the field, and your running back has a lot of room to run. Plays like that, too. Like, anytime you're going against a defense that will run complex stuff, you want to give them something that's going to force them to tell you what they're doing.
Right.
So put 4 guys on the same side of the formation. All right, they got to tell you what they're doing now. And then things like that. Get Trevion Henderson the ball in space. A screen pass like that. Love it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think if you want to throw the ball against them, I don't think you always have to run to set up the pass. This might be one of those weeks where it's like you need to back off Carolina a little bit by running the ball and your screen game, getting the guys involved. Maybe that's where you see Pop Douglas. Maybe you get Pop in there and you run some screens to him, or Stephon Diggs, just some quick screens outside.
True, it's a good point.
So
we'll see. I think this should be a win for them. But
should be a win.
I
think there's one other thing, special teams needs to be talked about in this game. Ryan Fitzgerald is their kicker. First of all, he's 5 for 5 on the year, and he made a 57-yarder last year. So Carolina can score from range.
Yep.
And he might be the best kickoff kicker in the NFL right now.
Yeah, the knuckleball, right?
Yeah. Carolina's been doing this. So for those who don't know, the ball has to be kicked into the landing zone. If it's kicked into the landing zone, once it lands there, then any touchback that results from it goes back to the 20 instead of the 35. So you kick it into the end zone, straight into the end zone, touchback's to the 35. If it lands in the landing zone and then goes into the end zone, the touchback is at the 20. Mm-hmm. The reason they do that is just all right, to incentivize kicking it to players in the field of play so that they will then return it. And we'll get
correct. Yep.
And what Carolina and the Rams, but Carolina's the best at this, figured out is, all right, if you're able to consistently kick line drives that are hard to catch and have them land in that zone in an area where the returners can't get to them, then they can bounce into the end zone and you can take 15 yards of field position off or force them to try to catch one of these balls, which is difficult to catch because they said it's a knuckleball, it's spin real weird on it. And you're either fumbling the ball or you're juggling it or whatever. Field positions have been tough. Teams are starting at the 21 off kickoffs against Carolina this year, which is the best the best for the kicking team, worst for the receiving team in the NFL. That's going to be a test for New England.
Yeah, I'm curious about here is what if, I'm just throwing this out there, but what if you, the Patriots typically play with, with a few guys kind of a few yards back, right? Off of their kind of front line, and then, of course, 2 returners. What if you put 1 returner back there and put 2 guys at the 20-yard line, kind of spaced out, almost like on the hashes, maybe a little bit further than the hash marks, and, make it so that it's more difficult to get that ball by them, right? That it might come to those up backs.
Yeah.
And then
you can't line up that way, unfortunately.
you have to have everyone up there.
It's nine in what they call the setup zone and
9 and 2
in the landing
Okay.
zone.
All right, there you go. Well, that answers that question.
This is what the NFL was trying to incentivize right here is we're going to add some strategy to the kickoff. So if you're a good kicker, you can take advantage of it. And you got to be good at kick returns now. So you need sure-handed guys back there. Not that they've had Antonio Gibson and Trevion Henderson back there. Not that those guys can't be sure-handed. Gibson, a former receiver, Trevion Henderson, plenty of receiving experience. I wonder if you honestly, I think if you were going to make a case for Efton Chisholm in this game, part of it might be this guy's a receiver, and there's going to be some real weird balls coming in. Do we want him active just as an option on kickoff returns to make sure we are able to cleanly field the ball and return it?
It's a fair point. It's an interesting thought.
Well, and this is one of those games you don't want to. This might end up being another close game when it's all said and done. It might just be a low-scoring grinder. Do you want to lose this game because you handed Carolina short field because you fumbled the kickoff?
Right.
I think that
would be really bad.
Can't win with that.
Yeah.
So got to be clean off it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. So we'll see. Ultimately, I mean, but I think that it does kind of add a little extra wrinkle in there that certainly wasn't there last year or in years prior.
Well, and the flip side is the Patriots should start doing this. This is something they should have Andy Borgales learning because
I agree.
This is going to be an advantage. It's going to be a divide here, and the difference in field position is real. So
and listen, are there times when you're going to take a penalty because you kick it outside of the landing zone? Maybe. But I'm willing to take that chance that you can try to hit it at the 17, 18-yard line. And, once every 2 games, you hit it at the 21 by mistake. I'm willing to live with that,
Yeah. So, by the way, taking everything into account for drive starts, which is also going to be where you're starting with punts and turnovers and everything.
Yep.
Arizona's opponents are on average starting at their own 28. For what it's worth, New England's opponents are also starting at their own 28.5. They're back to back here, 6th and 7th for best opponent field position out there. That's a massive difference right now. So the best for opponent starting field position is Houston. Opponent starting at their own 24.4 yard line. Okay. Then there's the Titans. They're at their own 35. That's the worst one.
That's the worst. That makes sense.
That's a 10.5 yard difference.
That's a lot. And is that just kick returns or is that all possessions?
This is all drives.
So that's turnovers is what it is, I would think.
That's going to be a part of it. It's going to be weighted towards that. But I look at Tennessee. If it's the pure 35, I mean, are they just kicking the touchback on every kick?
I can't imagine that's the case, but I suppose you never know.
They got to be if it's that high.
All right.
Oh, you're spoiling things for me over there.
Here's the question for you: if you were to score a touchdown here, do you go for 2 or do you kick the extra point?
Oh man, I hate this. I think I go for 2. I just play for the win right here. Here's a question for you: if the Patriots had tied it up on Sunday, are you going for 2 or are you going for the extra point?
I probably would have gone for 2 only because they played so poorly all game long, and it was such a disaster that to come back like that, I think it makes sense to go for 2. I thought last year against Tennessee, when they throw that crazy pass, I thought they should have gone for 2 in that situation. And yes, I do think that Arizona should have gone for 2. However, I do have JSN in fantasy, and so I'm happy they went for overtime because then he can hopefully get some more catches in overtime. So
I will say, for me with the Patriots, I think the argument for going for 2 is that I thought other than turnovers, they outplayed Pittsburgh. Sorry, the argument for kicking the extra point is that other than turnovers, they outplayed Pittsburgh all day.
It's fair.
So if you go to overtime, you feel good about your chances of probably not turning it over a 6th time. You feel like we're going to be in decent position. The argument against it is that do you want the outcome of a game right now to come down to Andy Borregales making an extra point and then potentially Andy Borregales needing to make a kick in overtime to win it? Do you want to bet on 2 kicks from him? I don't know. I'm glad I wasn't the one. I'm not the one who has to make these decisions. That's for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. Agree. All right, here's what I need. I need a big. I also have the Seahawks plus 0.5 as well. So, oh my goodness!
You're spoiling things for me.
I'm sorry, but it's literally what we were talking about. I don't know why you're so far behind me. I'm watching it on the app. Aren't you watching on the app too? How am I still in front of you?
Watching on the Amazon website.
Oh well, that's your fault. You should be watching on Amazon Prime. Exactly what we're talking about. The exact situation we were just talking about how you're trying to nail it at the 19 and it lands just outside the 20.
Yeah.
It's exactly what just happened with Chad Ryland, and now Seattle starts at the 40-yard line, just needing a few yards to get in the field goal range and win the game. Pretty wild.
You know what always goes through my mind when I see a kicker do something like that?
The Super Bowl 38.
But it's specifically the Carolina radio call when John Casey kicks it out of bounds, and they mentioned, it's like putting your tee shot in the woods on the 18th fairway, on the 18th tee, and you're Adam Mulligan's. Like that's what that feels like right there. That's
unbelievable. Yeah, it's just like bad hit, and you're like, there's nothing I can do about it.
Can I wrap this from my end with two quick related notes?
Yes, let's do it because we're out of here.
Yeah, one. Why are the Patriots going back to the Blueberries this week?
Oh, God.
Dumb. And especially because the last time they wore the silver pants, they won in them in Miami. So it's not a superstition thing. Like, what are we doing here? Wearing the mono blue for no reason. And here's the
horrifying.
I'm okay with wearing the mono blue for like a game a year, maybe 2 if they want to do that. But like, do it as like a primetime thing or for like a big game, not a random NFC opponent. Like, what are we doing here? And then the flip side of this, Arizona's uniforms and field design. Love, especially that field design with the end zone. They should just make that
the sun in the end zone.
Woo!
Yeah, that's good.
It is fun. So love that.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know what? And the jerseys I think are cool. I think the jerseys are cool. With the with the kind of sandy stuff on it, it looks cool. But again, you're 100% right. In the fact that the field is so cool. By the way, JSN 1000% got out of bounds, and they messed up the call. They're reviewing it to see if he got out of bounds, which he clearly did. Yeah. So there you go.
If the Patriots, real quick, if they did something like that with their end zone, is there anything you'd want them to paint? If it was like some kind of design.
The thing is that there's no there's nothing really like that. I guess what you could do, the only argument you could make would be something like, and it'd be stupid. So I'm not even gonna say it. Like a fall foliage type of like the leaves changing colors or something like that. But I just
don't look good.
I wouldn't look good at all. So like I don't think there's any necessary like full paint you would do it. I think what you could do is do like full paint blue with the old school red Patriots writing. I think that would look cool. Like the light blue though. You know what I mean? Like the bright blue that's on those, you know what I mean? Yeah. With the red. I think that could look cool when they do like the throwback games. If you were to do like the all blue with like the old school red Patriots writing, I think would look really nice.
I wonder if we're going to see the Patriots paint their field differently for the rivalries game. It'll be interesting if because the logo doesn't have the red in it on the helmet. Maybe they repaint the logo at midfield and take the red out of that too to match.
You'd have to think they have to do something, right?
I mean, they don't. Here's the thing: the field they have is relatively bland. It's just green grass with white end zones and the logo at midfield. So if they don't change it, I don't think anyone will care. But
right, that's true, I suppose. But
they could do something different.
So
yeah, I think that
all right.
Let's
get the heck out of here. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Appreciate it. Thank you to the chat. Although it wasn't very lively tonight, but
no.
Connor and Brian and Connor and Brian in the chat kind of holding things down, and I think Nagan had a quote in there about Patriots stink and whatever, even if they win this week. But she may not be wrong, but nevertheless. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you guys, and be good to each other, and go Pats.